This is Lemme Explain 101. Plain answers, no jargon. Today's topic isn't simple, but it's important. Why is there war in Gaza? Let's start from the beginning. Not the ancient beginning, but the modern one. The strip of land called Gaza is tiny, only about 25 miles long and a few miles wide. Yet, it's one of the most contested pieces of land in the world. More than 2 million people live there, packed tighter than almost anywhere else. And at the heart of it is a conflict between Israelis and Palestinians. So, how did we get here? After World War II, the United Nations supported the idea of creating a state for Jewish people in part of what was then British-controlled Palestine. In 1948, Israel declared independence. For Jews, this was a long-awaited homeland after centuries of persecution, especially the Holocaust. But for many Palestinians already living there, it was seen as losing their land. This sparked the first Arab-Israeli war. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians fled or were forced out, becoming refugees. That event is remembered by Palestinians as the Nakba, or catastrophe. Fast forward, wars in 1967 and 1973 expanded Israel's control. Gaza, once under Egyptian control, came under Israeli occupation. The West Bank, another Palestinian territory, also fell under Israeli military rule. Now, Gaza itself. In 2005, Israel withdrew its soldiers and settlers from Gaza. But, and here's the important part, Israel kept control of Gaza's borders, airspace, and sea access. So even though Israel left physically, it still controlled who and what goes in or out. In 2006, a Palestinian group called Hamas won elections in Gaza. Hamas is both a political party and an armed movement. Israel, the U.S., and the EU consider it a terrorist organization because it has launched rockets and suicide attacks against civilians. Hamas says it's resisting occupation. Either way, since 2007, Hamas has governed Gaza, and Israel, along with Egypt, has enforced a blockade. That means people and goods can't move freely in or out. Life in Gaza has been described as living in an open-air prison. This tension has exploded into wars again and again. Hamas fires rockets into Israel. Israel responds with airstrikes and ground operations. Civilians, on both sides, pay the heaviest price. Gaza, with its dense population, is especially vulnerable. Schools, hospitals, and homes get caught in the crossfire. So, what about now? Why is it in the headlines again? The latest war erupted after a shocking attack by Hamas on Israel in October 2023. Militants crossed into southern Israel, killing civilians and taking hostages. Israel responded with massive military strikes and a ground invasion of Gaza. The stated goal: to destroy Hamas. The result: thousands of civilians killed, massive destruction, and a humanitarian crisis. Food, water, and medicine have been extremely scarce, and millions of people have been displaced. And here's where it gets complicated. For Israel, the war is about security. No country wants rockets fired at its cities or attacks on its people. For Palestinians, especially those in Gaza, it's about freedom and dignity, the right to live without occupation or blockade. For the world, it's about human rights, stability in the Middle East, and the endless question: can there ever be peace? Many countries have tried to negotiate a two-state solution, one state for Israel, one for Palestinians. Sounds simple, but disagreements over borders, security, refugees, and Jerusalem have made it nearly impossible. So here we are, a cycle of war, destruction, and fragile ceasefires. And ordinary people, families, children, keep suffering the most. You might be asking, why doesn't it just stop? Well, if it were that easy, it would have stopped decades ago. Both sides carry deep wounds, historical trauma, and fear of losing everything. And as long as Hamas controls Gaza and Israel feels under threat, violence keeps coming back. Let's zoom out. The Gaza war isn't only about Gaza. It's tied to bigger regional politics. Iran supports Hamas. The U.S. supports Israel. Neighboring Arab countries balance public support for Palestinians with their own political realities, and the world watches, argues, and often fails to agree on what should be done. So, will it ever end? History says peace is possible. Enemies have made peace before. Egypt and Israel signed a peace treaty, Jordan and Israel too. But Gaza? That's still unresolved. And as long as both sides believe they're fighting for survival, not just politics, the road to peace will remain rocky. Let's wrap this up. The war in Gaza is about land, identity, security, and dignity. But at its core, it's about people. Millions of people trapped in a cycle they didn't choose. Explaining it simply doesn't make it less tragic. I'm Rex, and this was Lemme Explain 101. Sometimes the world doesn't make sense, but at least now you understand it a little better.